Ever feel like you're just drowning in to-dos, deadlines, circling like hungry sharks?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Tell me about it.
But what if I told you there were some surprisingly simple hacks?
Okay.
We're talking brain hacking here. Not robot mode, but
Right.
actually get more done.
I like it.
So you don't have to turn your life upside down to see results.
It's true. And the best part is you don't have to, completely overhaul everything to see these results.
Right.
And this deep dive is all about understanding the why behind these productivity hacks.
Good.
And you've given us some great material to work with.
I knew you'd appreciate this article I sent over. Boosting your productivity is easy. Actually. Love a title that gets right to the point,
Yeah.
But
Let's see if it lives up to the hype.
what do you say we unpack this and see what science has to say about all this?
Let's dive in.
All right, the first hack this article dives into is all about daily intentions.
Okay.
Now, they make it clear this isn't just another to-do list.
Right.
So tell me, what's the difference?
So it's about choosing your top 3 must-dos for the day.
Okay.
Not 5, not 10, just 3.
Just 3.
And here's the kicker. They need to directly link back to your larger goals.
So it's more about making every task count rather
Yeah.
than just scrambling to check off as many as possible.
You got it. This ties into the psychology of goal setting.
Okay.
See, when you've got that clear target in mind, it cuts down on decision fatigue.
Right.
That feeling of being overwhelmed by choices.
Really? Yeah.
And this focused approach actually makes you more likely to take action because you're not bogged down by a million tiny decisions.
Okay. I can already see how that would be helpful.
Yeah.
Especially in those mornings when my to-do list feels more like a to-do epic novel.
Right.
Imagine starting your day already knowing your 3 wins for the day. That's got to feel good.
Right. It's about maximizing your impact, not just your activity.
I like it.
Right.
All right, next up is the 2-minute rule.
Okay.
It sounds almost too simple.
Yeah.
If it takes less than 2 minutes, just do it now.
Yep.
Is it really that easy?
Well, on the surface, it sounds simple.
Right.
But there's actually a fascinating psychological principle effect at play here
Oh, fun.
called the Zeigarnik effect.
Ooh. I always love a good psychological effect.
Yes.
Break it down for me.
Essentially, our brains are wired to remember unfinished tasks.
Okay.
It's like having a million browser tabs open in your brain. It's distracting and draining.
Oh, it's the worst.
So knocking out those small 2-minute tasks right away gives your brain a sense of completion,
Okay.
like closing a bunch of those mental tabs.
Oh, it's less about being perfectly organized and more about giving our brain some peace.
Right.
Exactly.
That feeling of completion, even from something small, creates momentum and motivates you to take on bigger tasks.
I love that.
Right.
Okay, let's talk about batching, which the article calls the antidote to chaotic productivity.
Okay.
Now, who doesn't love a little less chaos in their life?
Right. The article is spot on with this one.
Yeah.
The key is grouping similar tasks together. For example, instead of jumping between answering emails, making phone calls, and then going back to emails, you dedicate blocks of time to each activity.
So it's kind of like if you were cooking, it's more efficient to prep all your ingredients before you start instead of running around the kitchen grabbing things as you need them.
Oh, perfect analogy. It's way more efficient because every time you switch between different tasks,
Yeah.
your brain has to go through this mini reboot process to adjust.
Oh, really?
All that context switching is a huge drain on your focus and energy.
It's like our brains are little computers that need time to load the right programs for each task.
Exactly. And those loading screens can really eat into your productivity if you're constantly switching gears.
So no more multitasking myth for us.
Yeah.
Speaking of things we tell ourselves are good, but maybe aren't. The next hack is all about breaks. Now, how does taking breaks make us more productive? Isn't that like hitting the pause button on productivity?
It seems counterintuitive, right? But the source mentions the Pomodoro technique,
Oh.
which breaks your workday into focused sprints followed by short breaks. The science behind it is pretty cool, actually.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Our brains aren't meant to be on all the time. Those little breaks actually help your brain recharge,
Okay.
which then boosts creativity and helps prevent burnout. Think
Yeah.
about it like a muscle. If you overwork it without rest, it's going to give out eventually.
Yeah, burnout is the ultimate productivity killer. It's like trying to run a marathon with a sprained ankle. You might finish, but it's going to be painful and take way longer than it should.
And you'll probably need even more recovery time afterwards.
Exactly. Okay, so we've tackled our to-do list, our brains, and now it's time to tackle our desks. The article talks about decluttering. How's that a productivity hack?
Well, remember how we talked about our brains not liking too many open tabs? It's the same with visual clutter. A messy workspace competes for your attention even if you don't realize it.
So a clear desk, equals a clear mind.
Essentially, it's about sending that signal to your brain, okay, time to focus.
I actually find this one to be true.
Hmm.
Whenever I take the time to tidy up my desk, even just a little bit, I feel like I can breathe easier and focus better.
It's amazing how much our environment impacts our productivity.
It's like having a tidy workspace is like giving your brain a little mental hug.
I like that. And the best part is you don't need to become a minimalist overnight. Even small changes like organizing your immediate workspace can make a big difference.
It's like that saying, outer order, inner calm. Okay, ready to tackle the final productivity hurdle.
Bring it on.
This one's a big one, and frankly, I need some convincing on it. The article claims that multitasking is a myth. But isn't being able to juggle a million things at once a good thing? Don't we want to be master multitaskers?
It feels like we're always told that being able to multitask is some kind of superpower.
I know what you mean, but the research actually paints a different picture. It turns out our brains aren't designed for true multitasking. When we try to juggle multiple complex tasks at once, we're forcing our brains to rapidly switch back and forth between them.
So it's like that context switching we talked about with batching,
Yes.
but on steroids. Exactly. And just like context switching drains our energy when we're trying to focus, multitasking leads to more mistakes, lower quality work, and faster burnout.
So it's not just about being less efficient, it's about the impact on the quality of our work, too.
Absolutely. It's like trying to write a novel and compose a symphony at the same time. You might end up with something, but it's unlikely to be a masterpiece in either field.
Okay, that's a pretty convincing image. So if multitasking is a myth, what's the alternative?
Single tasking,
Yeah.
focusing on one task at a time, giving it your full attention, and then moving on to the next.
It's funny, it seems so simple, yet it feels like the opposite of what we're always told to do.
It really is about rewiring those ingrained beliefs, isn't it?
Is. So we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from setting daily intentions to decluttering our workspaces to debunking the myth of multitasking. For someone listening feeling that familiar pang of, I need to be more productive, where do they even begin?
That's a great question, and it's something I always come back to. Start small. Don't try to overhaul your entire routine overnight. Pick one or two of these hacks that really resonated with you and commit to incorporating them consistently.
That's like building any new habit, right?
Yeah.
Start small, be consistent, and the results will follow.
Exactly. And remember, it's about working with your brain, not against it. So if something feels overwhelming or unsustainable, adjust. Maybe the Pomodoro technique works wonders for you, or maybe you thrive on batching tasks together. Experiment, find your own productivity rhythm.
It's about figuring out what works best for you, not trying to fit into some cookie-cutter mold of perfect productivity.
Now you're talking, productivity isn't about achieving some mythical state of perfect efficiency. It's about finding what helps you do your best work.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. I feel like I have a whole new toolkit for tackling my to-do list and my brain with more intention and less stress.
That's what it's all about. Remember, small hinges swing big doors.
I love that. And to our listeners, we hope this deep dive has given you some practical tools and a fresh perspective on how to boost your productivity. Remember, you don't have to do it all. Just focus on what matters most and enjoy those small wins along the way. Until next time, stay curious and stay productive.